let's say I'm trying to join the games industry. What should I be aware of when I'm entering the games industry, in the fact that like I should be working on these things?
One thing that's definitely changed is there probably aren't as many jobs for life in the way that they used to. My value is based on skills that can travel. Games change, tech changes, audiences change, but people's skills are forever.
Today I'm joined by a senior producer and 16-year veteran of AAA game development with credits on Alien Isolation, Total War, and the upcoming Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. He has now taught other developers what he's learned through his talks, articles, and a new book.
Assume you need to be getting ready for difficult bosses. And the answer isn't just going to be leave every time. I can go into somewhere I don't understand, somewhere I'm not prepared for, and that isn't prepared for me. I can go there and flourish.
We talked about what it's like working for a difficult boss instead of fighting them, why resilience really means building skills that travel between studios and how to build them, why job hunting is often a numbers game and how to navigate that hunt, and why networking should start long before you ever need a job.
I think we are going to a place where the permanent studio and team attached to an IP will probably be small. The resources that scale it will be temporary. Talking to people before they're hiring, talk to people before you're looking. Networking starts now.
From someone who spent 16 years helping teams ship games while teaching others what he's learned, please welcome this episode's guest, senior producer at Infinity Ward, Doug Pennant. Doug, welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, Harry.
Super happy to have you. So this is, in my opinion, a long time coming. So it'll be probably hard to find, but we actually have done a one-on-one podcast 3 years ago, very long time ago, on a different show. And a lot has changed since then. So I'd love to open with, there's a lot of things we can talk about today, but I think you wanted to speak about something very specific. So I'd love to just remind people who you are. So 16 years in the games industry, guys, game dev veteran at this point. We've talked about titles that he's been involved with: Alien Isolation, Total War, and also the upcoming Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4, where he's a senior producer. And he's also wrote a book on game production, has a Substack on game production, and has done plenty of education and talks on the topic. So not new to the field at all. But we're not going to be talking 100% about production today, are we? So, Doug, I would love you to share kind of why you wanted to talk about this specific topic on the podcast, and let's roll.
Yeah, so the specific topic I wanted to put some airtime to is personal resilience. And I think that we're going into an era in the industry where lots and lots of things are changing. And a lot of the ways people were getting comfortable, those aren't there anymore. At the same time, we've got a culture coming up with, like, that's got a lot of expectations because in the best way, I think the internet has allowed a lot of people to start sharing stories and stories of behaviors, stories of environments, things they've survived, things they've stood up for. And I feel like the new generation of people entering the workforce, I think they've got some different standards, some like new ones, probably higher for what they would accept in how they're going to work. And I think this is a very interesting time for all of these things to happen. And I think while the culture coming up encourages good environments to be built, which I 100% believe in, try to train other people how to do. But what I want to talk about is what to do if you aren't in one of those environments yet, or while they don't exist, and how you don't always need everyone else to do everything right to still be thriving.
Great. So in the games industry, when I was in recruitment, everyone had something to complain about. Like whether it's, I love this part, but this part's horrible. Or I love this part, but there's no documentation. And it's like, in the games industry, at least from the outside looking in, there's 1,000 things that can go wrong. And by definition, if all of them were going right, something's going wrong because there's a lack of prioritization, if that makes sense. So there's always like something on fire, whether it's more metaphorical or like literally like servers on fire or whatever. So like in this sort of industry, when you say expectations have changed, can you tell me how that shows up maybe just to paint a picture?
Yeah, so just backing up the point you said as well. Yeah, because video games, we have the challenge of our services can't just be good, reliable. They have to be fun, which it has to be surprising, has to be new. So if everything is going absolutely fine, it probably means that we're not pushing the boat hard enough. We're not exploring something new. And like, as if all the rails are laid, it's like, everyone's been here before. Where's new? So yeah, we go creating our problems. But so where we see some of this show up. So I think of some of the different cultures I see in game studios that have been around for a long time. Because you got to remember how a game studio forms. A game studio generally starts from hobbyists that love what they do, and maybe it's a group of people, usually pretty close to each other in culture. So like their buddies, maybe their colleagues, maybe their college mates, but they probably come from a similar cultural space. But there's a good chance that none of them has gone through business training or like coaching, running people. They're usually creatives. And while this can be an incredible recipe for creating some rock star, like punk rock video games, running a business changes that. Running a business and getting good at that doesn't come from nowhere. And a lot of the culture for running business has come in from quite an old way of, well, it's just a big factory. Just keep doing more, add more people, go harder, shout louder. Like the kind of era of more like a empathetic, human-focused management. I don't think isn't even a century old globally, really, and it's only really starting to make its way into video games in the last 20, 30 years. I mean, the industry has only been around since the 80s. And I think of the way, like, for example, I saw Creative Assembly grow from around 250 people when I joined, split into 2 teams for the most part. Then by the time I left, it was around 700 people, many of whom were in another country. We had UK and Bulgaria. And here it's turning into something else, like where it used to be a few people in a room where everybody knew each other, and like you could just shout over your shoulder. You do your jobs, maybe stay even a bit late because the next place you're going is the pub, and people don't mind staying a bit late if, well, we're all ending up at the Crown anyway. But these things are changing. Like you're growing as you grow a studio, you grow older. And there are people coming in who are a very different age. They aren't going to be your buddies in the same way. Like there's 30 to 40 years of age difference between some of these people at game studios. These are and cultural changes happen in that time. Now there is a lot of expectation coming in from people in the workforce that, like, I remember talking to my dad about therapy, and he said we didn't have therapy. We didn't have mental health when I was young. I would have loved therapy, but if you said you're having a mental health problem, people thought you were dangerous. Whereas now, the whole world has a very good vocabulary for mental health and a respect for it. So if people need a mental health day, a lot of businesses will get it without question. That's great when it's in place. But that takes learning. And not only does it take understanding, when you start a game studio, you're building a game, and then you're hiring more people to help build the game. And then there's no clear point where suddenly, wait, I'm responsible for growing people. It's not the way people start. And it's also not, some people never even make a change where they decide, I'm now going to be looking after people. I mean, I remember watching an amazing video by Jesse Shell. It got me started on reading a lot of leadership stuff. It's called "You Can Do It Too: Game Studio Leadership." It's a GDC talk. It's an old one now. I mean, I think I watched it in about 2016 or 2017, and it was maybe from the year or two before. And one of the things he does is he's talking for ages about, across this whole video, where it's about how to bring people in to like keep the chaos at bay so you can get back to making the great game. And then at the end, he pulls the rug out and says, Like, oh wait, so when do I get back to making the game? You don't. That's actually not your job anymore. You're responsible for a studio. This is what happened. And not everyone makes that mental jump. And not everyone decides, like, actually, my job now is creating a good environment where people different to me are supported and empowered. It takes training, it takes understanding to do it, and we don't all respond to it in the same way. And so people are coming in now with a raised standard of what being treated right means, and it's clashing with a culture that has really just kind of come through muscling through the games. Like the way they solved being a 20-something-year-old game developer when they were 20-something-year-old isn't the same anymore. The solutions have changed around them, and the only sin they had was growing old. So I've got some sympathy for managers trying to figure out how to manage a whole new generation of people in such a fast-changing time.
We now have this world. So we have a world where standards have gone up. The age gap, just by biology, is getting bigger and bigger within a team, right? So we have 30, 40-year age gaps, and it's just normal. And we also have management systems which are not built primarily from people who've built prior businesses, which in other industries is more the norm, because the nature of how a game studio starts is they start with a group of friends, they make a game, goes well, let's keep growing. And then those things tend to kind of, someone described it as, we're building the railroad track and we're driving the train all at the same time. And there's also not that many people who start a game studio, succeed, and then go start another one compared to how many new game studios just start. Like, just if I look at every single one, I'd imagine. So now that we have this world, let's look at the individual first, and I'd love to cover the leader later, which I'm going to personally find very interesting. So if you're an individual and you're entering the workforce, I have X standards, let's say, which are some of the things you talked about. Now what? What do I really need to understand that you personally see in people you've mentored or people you've spoken to at conferences where there's a bit of a disconnect? Like, if this was your son or daughter trying to enter the industry and they have certain beliefs, like, what would you want them to know before they entered the games industry?
So one of the biggest changes for me that made it easier to work for difficult people came sometime around 2018. So I was in a team where I was really struggling with the lead. They were insecure. They were panicking around anything they couldn't really control, and it meant that whenever they were working with me, if I did anything surprising, they were really coming down on it in a nervous way, and it was driving me insane. I didn't have ways to cope with this. I was just trying to do what I thought was right in the way of working, and it felt like it was wrong because I was doing anything. And this was annoying. So like it was bad enough that I eventually left the team and found another one within Creative Assembly. But I'd been able to reflect on this and think I'm probably gonna have problematic bosses again. I'm early in my career, and the game industry is made up of very emotional people, like normal people. It's made up of normal people. So how do I get better at working with difficult people? And I remember really asking myself this because I also knew the team I was going to, the Total War Audio team, famously had a director who was a challenge. He was famously like very controlling on content and not easy to work with at all. It was fortunate for me that I knew this coming in, but I would say to anyone about to join the industry, assume you need to be getting ready for difficult bosses. And the answer isn't just going to be leave every time. It can happen, and that can be the right one, but it doesn't have to be every time. And so me realizing this and deciding, okay, I'm gonna figure out how to make this work. I'm going to make that an objective of mine, figure out how to work with this famously difficult person. And the first realization that came to me was making the commitment of I work for him. And this, like, he hired me because he is making a game and he needs help. That was, it sounds like an obvious thing, but actually, like, there's such a common dialogue about being versus the boss. And it's really fun, and it builds camaraderie on teams, like all of you versus the boss above. But actually, if what you're going into doing here is you're collaborating on a project you care about, and the boss is a challenge, but you still care about the project, remember, it's their game, it's their baby. They love it as much as what you love doing. And if you can make that choice, okay, I work for you, and my job is to try and make your game development easier, which it is, then it's a bit easier to accept some of the compromises, perhaps. I mean,
What was
how
the
easy
difference?
things are you? The difference before was, I think I was arguing a lot about how things should be done. And it was more about, I think my objective there was, I have to do things right. The job in front of me, I think I have to do things the way that I think is right, what should be the right way to do. And I was still deciding what those things were, kind of outside of him.
So how did you? Can I ask you? So when you were thinking about the right way versus whatever other way, like, if you can look back on that period, do you remember any examples of you like, oh, I thought this was the right way, but in retrospect, that probably was causing maybe more trouble than it was worth? Like, can you give me an example?
I guess I think I was more relaxed on how regularly I would ask the team to update timings, to update task logs and things like that. I was trying to be more relaxed with it largely because of things I'd read. I had been filling my head with how to manage, and not micromanage, give people space, things like this. And but this was clashing because my boss had built his accountability chain with the people above. It was very numbers based, and his certainty and security and where he worked came from secure numbers.
Did you know that?
I kind of sort of, but I don't think I really understand how far it went. I think I didn't really understand how deep the roots were. And
I wonder if
I wasn't thinking as much.
It would have helped at the time, right?
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that's changing. So realizing that generally people have reasons for stuff. Not always. Like, some people, sometimes the reason is, I've always done it. But even that can be a reason worth exploring, because a bad boss is usually an insecure boss. And insecurity, you should think about treating it, not opposing it. So in that case, I was ignoring my boss's insecurities. I was contesting him a lot, which was only exacerbating it. From his point of view, I probably came off as a difficult employee, someone that was difficult to work with, because I was challenging him a lot. I wasn't there seeing myself as help him out, trust that he is trying to make a game well, help him out, and this may well be what comes. I may have, and also accepting that I can have more ideas and I can use them wherever I am, but I can't ignore the guy. That's the kind of, it's counter to the whole thing of I want to treat people better, but except this one guy who I'm going to be an absolute firebrand to. It doesn't make any sense.
What would you do?
Yeah, we will do it.
So what would you do if you had Doug, that version of them, here with you today? You had to tell them one skill to work on, to hopefully improve that relationship and also ultimately your career, right?
Well, I think this lesson would be the one I would want to say to him, because I can tell, because it's the one that changed me. It is the lesson of Like, ask him what can help his job, because because it is why you're here. And like, do that and support him. Support him in the ways that make him feel supported. Like, treat him in the kind, generous way that you want to treat all the people at your level and below. Point it upwards as well. Like, they're under pressure. They need the help too. And that's why they hired you.
Cool.
I think that's how I'd give it.
So I'd love to define some terms. Like, when you say people have to be resilient, when it comes to resilient from the selfish point of view, right? So like, I want to be a more resilient person because I want better outcomes in my career, let's say. Like, I wonder, what do you see as resilient that maybe people forget or people don't focus enough time on? So like, what does it take to be a resilient Harry Foku? To, let's say I'm trying to join the games industry from the outside coming in, like, what would make me resilient, and what should I be aware of when I'm entering the games industry, in the fact that like I should be working on these things?
Some of it, I think, is recognizing how long your career is going to be, and allowing, like, not controlling the moments in the same way. So not having to think of like, everything has to go right as I should see it right now. Because the lessons and the ownership, like, this can take time, and it's okay for it to take time. But and also respecting that things are going to change. They're going, like, some of them are going to change rapidly on your project and around you and your team. And obviously the industry itself, the whole industry is going through the ringer right now, and will probably look completely different in the next several years. But there's a phrase I saw which I kind of mangled into a haiku, which is the bird has no fear that the branches may collapse, for it trusts its wings. And this was helpful for me to think about when I started thinking, okay, like, my value is based on skills that can travel. My value is based on skills that can find new situations and help me flourish there. And so, like, I mean, it's a line I throw in a lot of talks, and I think in the book, which is like, games change, tech changes, audiences change, but people skills are forever. And and that one is how I can think of, this is how I'm going to respond to being in a completely different place. Like, how I can go somewhere and find out what they're expecting from me, find out how to do it, and bring the mindset where I can bring value, which in my case is solving problems and helping people talk to each other. There is, I'll take the risk. There's a interview test that I won't say where I did it, just in case I still do it. But it was a fantastic producer interview test, in my opinion. It was quite tough, but at the end of it, I was like, oh, that's such a good idea. And it was a role play where there were 4 people I could talk to, like 4 kind of like department heads. I in theory had a team of 3 people, and I had to plan a 3-week sprint. So in the interview, they say this to me, and so I say, okay, cool. I know I've got a 3-week sprint. I've got 3 people I can talk to you for. Cool. What's the scenario? And they said, that's it. Go. No more information. No more information about what software were we working on? What was the product? Like, when did it have to be? Who wanted what from it? Which was the whole point. It was a measure of how quickly can you go from no information to something helpful, to something valuable. Because it then became, I was then just asking questions. And then they'd set it up so that things would conflict. And then I had to start negotiating priorities with people.
Super cool.
And it was I have a huge respect for this idea. Like, at the end of it, like, that was hard and stressful and genius. Because, and I felt better having done it, because I looked back and thought, wait, I could do this again. I can go into somewhere I I can go into somewhere I don't understand, somewhere I'm not prepared for, and that isn't prepared for me. I can go there and flourish. And that has helped me in a few places, like even joining the team that's doing Call of Duty. A very different working culture to what I've been in before, different technology, huge amount of jargon, a lot of history to everything. And I've even written in my Substack, like one of the first things that my boss said to me was, everything you learn, write it down. And that was because no one else had written it down. So there was a lot that I was going to have to learn from scratch. And so I was going to have to bring all this, like all the same, I can make this work for myself energy.
Yeah. So relatable to me. Like, I really resonate with that. I have a very distinct memory when I was at my previous job where I invested like £900 to learn how to post on LinkedIn. And I have a very specific memory because one of my colleagues said, "Why would you spend £900 to learn how to post on LinkedIn?" And I was like, of course I would, because I will get the skill, at least a better skill of marketing, and I can use that to get clients here. But also, that makes me very much set up to get a better job later if I'm posting and have a presence. And he just couldn't think like, "Oh, half of our like take home salary." I'm like, yeah, but I'm going to keep that skill for life. It's not taxed, the skill. And
Yeah.
I mean, fast forward to today, I have a business because I just started posting on LinkedIn. I'm living in Cyprus. We're doing well. Half my family's working with me. And it all originated from that £900 purchase. Obviously, I put in the work. I'm not saying it was just a saving grace. I've invested a lot more in my education after that. But it was such a positive feedback loop. It was like, invest in skill, got interviews for like a job in Texas that they were planning to move me there because I was like, yeah, here's my plan. I'm going to be posting content. I've already been doing it. They're like, great. But then I realized, if you're willing to pay all this money, surely I can start a business. And then I started a business. So this all originated from investing a little bit in my education. And to hear you say that bird analogy, I'm going to steal that, please, because it's so good.
Please share it around. Yeah.
Because like, I remember consciously thinking, if I fail in my business after 6 months, I'm sure I can do recruitment again. Like, I'll be okay. Like, I just knew, like, I'll be okay. Now, when I speak to someone who's doing hairstylist, and that's all they've been doing for the last 5 years, and they've had all their work from word of mouth, and then suddenly they've lost their contracts, and they have no business development muscle, and they tell me the games industry is not doing well, and then I, as a business developer, and like we've done this a lot of companies, like, great, how many people are you talking to? How many conferences are you going to? And the number was not enough to me to say, like, this is still like there's no work. But like, for me, you had two options: have a skill that people want right now more, or two, actually build the skill of talking to more people and being able to position yourself. That's the only two things you can do. Whereas like, this happens like 20% of people I speak to, it's just like, nah, I just don't think the games industry is working anymore. It's like, what do you mean? Like, top line revenue is going up. The way it's being divided, absolutely moving all over the place. But people who have been laid off, some of them have gotten jobs. Why? Because they better positioned their current skill set. Now, for me, that's still just two skills: the skill of positioning yourself and how many skills you have. Both of these are in your control. What's not in your control if they say yes or no, but you can speak to enough people where the odds are in your favor, so to speak. And I think when someone truly understands that, you realize like there's so much you can do to increase your prospects. And for me, I'm very lucky I had that like positive feedback loop from the first person I invested in like properly to like coach me. And I was like, this is great. Because then I just kept on doing it because I was like, I can pay once, get the skill forever, and it never leaves me. I was like, that is so overpowered. So that's kind of been my journey of education. But I can imagine in the games industry for you, like after learning that skill, you become more adaptable and you just keep it and it just grows over time. So like, yeah, it really resonated with me when you said that story.
Oh, I'm pleased to hear it. That's a brilliant example, the LinkedIn, how to do that. Because it's also that it's a skill that connects you to people, but also like writing. And a day like today, like writing is like £900 to get good at writing and communicating in this information economy, like is like, yeah, I 100% see it. And yeah, like, and that's actually the kind of thing where if you're looking ahead at what the games industry is, that's a very relevant skill to getting good at, because one thing that's definitely changed is there probably aren't as many jobs for life in the way that they used to.
I don't think there ever was, and I think the games industry is ripe to be very much like the movie industry. Like we had recently in my headlines, like IO Interactive are doing layoffs after the James Bond Hitman game came out. And for me, on the outside looking in, I'm like, makes sense. They had a lot of people on a project. The next project is probably in an earlier stage. There are only as many bodies, but then it reads as if like, oh my god. Again, this is from the outside looking in. It's like when I think of a movie, they've made the movie, and then the core team can start preparing for the next one. And for me, I'm like, surely at this point, it can click for more people. I hope that if you feel secure, where is that feeling coming from? Because if it's not based on a live ops game that you're like the leader on, if you're just producing a game, if that doesn't fly, like ultimately the numbers will do what the numbers do and tell someone, say, hey, we need to cut money. Like that's the part when you said there's no more game. Okay, please correct me, because obviously this is outside looking in.
There are two bits I need to slightly fact check you on. One is specifically the IO one. I know like anyone who's knows about the news will know that actually the layoffs aren't really related to the game that just released. A lot of those are connected to another IP that Microsoft was working with them on, and that's an Xbox contract that pulled.
Much better.
Yeah. But it's kind of good to have flagged this up because again, like you're describing a very like normal way of seeing it, and not knowing why it's happening actually is also like that's something you can improve. People can look at why things are happening. Like I am not I'm not hugely surprised by a lot of layoffs anymore because I've looked at why they're happening. And it relates
Maybe explain better than I explained why they're happening. Because some people talk about it as if it's like a endemic or a pandemic. It's like, I would love to get your kind of, here's what's actually happened.
Funny you mentioned the word pandemic, because that's hugely related. So the game, like this all makes sense if you look at it over several years. So on the run up to the pandemic, like this was a really good time in the game industry. Games as a service had been launched into, and a lot of people were making that work. There were a lot of places where people with money were investing it because they thought, if we invest in the right game, we can get sustained revenue. There were lots of reasons that investing in games looked good. Audiences were just getting bigger and bigger. We were getting around the world. And the mobile gamings had discovered that, women really like video games, and they're a great, and they're a very happy marketable audience. There was so much growth that people were putting money in behind it. Then the pandemic came, and it put an illusion over our heads because suddenly everyone was stuck at home. Well, what do you do when you're home? Actually, video games are pretty good. And so video game play and sales just shot up. And a lot of studios thought, well, we're going to capitalize on this moment. The investors would have said, take the advantages. It barely looked like a risk. And a lot of studios even grew, and they could grow in a special way because they could hire really good talent from anywhere in the world because everyone had suddenly adopted remote. They were forced to. And so you could just hire the best talent from anywhere in the world. Of course, when people change job, their salaries tend to go up as well. So it was a gamble where, you brought more people in at a fairly high price, but you thought it was going to work because there was suddenly a huge generation of sales.
Especially if that money came very cheaply or from a game that popped off even more. So it almost felt like what I did in 2021 when my crypto went up. I was like, I'm buying little NFTs back and forth. It's like play money. Like I'm wondering, hearing the numbers that people raised in COVID, it's like, okay, doosh, and then wow, crazy.
Yeah, like Animal Crossing, I think, was it New Horizons came out then? That one came out. Then for me, my pandemic game was Valheim. Played the hell out of that, even though it was early access. Like it got huge. Among Us, obviously, also took over. And it's so viral to the point I remember seeing US senators in Among Us lobbies. So this gravy train looked like it had just come in, but then it got weird again. And by weird, I mean normal. Like people went back to life outside, and all this play, it did actually drop. People did actually want to, they did actually want to go and spend time with other people again.
Yeah.
And this was not what people expected. And so now you're in a situation where game studios have grown and got more expensive. And the thing they gambled on lasting forever didn't. At the same time, like a lot of tech had grown as well, like just shot up in like scale. Because keep in mind, like if you look around, like it's not just games laying people off. Like Oracle laid off 30,000 people several months ago. Like I did not even know they had 30,000 people, but that's like,
Yeah,
I don't think that wasn't.
It's like an army.
Yeah, but it wasn't even 20% of their workforce. Like you got to remember, the games industry, in the scale of business, the games industry is actually kind of small. But like I remember I think it was 2022 or 3, Silicon Valley Bank went down. There's a lot of reasons behind that. I don't even think I'm qualified to give a good account of why. But what it meant was that was where a lot of investors, risk-taking investors, were running their money through, and this spooked them. A lot of people pulled back and suddenly got careful with their money. And there's a lot of video games they'd been investing in, which they thought, cool, this is going to make money forever, and now was just burning money. And this risk was not coming home. So the money was pulling out, but the studios were still huge and burning through money quicker than ever before. And so a lot of them had to make some decisions. But before you make the decision, you try to make sense of the decision. And so for what may have been the first time in a very long time, they had a really good look at the balance sheets, which they probably should have done a while ago. Like a lot of, like I said, like we said earlier, game studios, like they're built by game developers. They aren't always built by smart financiers and people who are being careful. It's like making games is rock and roll. Like a lot of them rule of cool. I'm talking more about AAA actually. Mobile studios are obviously like, there is a measurement culture there, which is like shocking to a game, to a AAA developer when you first find out like how mobile games like measure like the data around every change to the UI. It's incredible. But so when they realized like how bad things were, because they couldn't even just shrink the company back to the size it was before, because wages had gone up. So you couldn't just even go back to the good old days. You had to shrink even further. And now you're creating pipeline issues. Like a good example, what Ubisoft is a really interesting example of when it's going great. It is an unbelievable machine. Because a lot of the studios were one function, but one function really good. But like, so I think one of the studios in the middle of England was just doing vehicles, for example. But if you start laying people off, if like you start laying off specialists, then you realize there's a gap in your pipeline now, and it starts getting harder for everyone again. Like you don't have your business set up in a way, it's not ready to fail. It's like if things are set up in small units, then punishingly, like you can let them go, but they don't break the rest of your business. Like the eggs are in different baskets. That's a good analogy for it. But this takes design. This takes real business design and caution. And caution is not really the way we make games. And this is still ongoing. The Microsoft ones specifically are, so many people have written about them now, about how the strategies have been evolving around like the everything is an Xbox, Game Pass, the acquisition of Activision Blizzard King, and how the strategy was supposed to work together. Like that one, enough other people have written about that, that I can just say like these very large strategy calls have not paid off. And Microsoft are now looking at, okay, how like they use the term reset. And by the way, I don't know anything more from the inside than everybody else does. When you see something from Asher Sharma, that's the same day I see it, probably the same minute. It's I do actually respect the level of transparency. It is the kind of thing I would be encouraging. They're thinking, what is it going to mean to have a business that is running well enough to be profitable, for like the amount of the profit margin you buy a business to get back. How do they get up to that? It's quite a bit to climb.
So what should we do? Right? Like, because I feel like if we've established this as a truth, what else should we be focusing our attention to? We've covered upskilling and making sure that we're thinking about that before we need to, right? Like, so you know where your wings lie, so to speak, like before the branch goes done. But like, what else should people be focusing on?
Okay, yeah, I'm really glad we're on this, because despite all this going on, there is so much I am excited about in the game industry. So one of the things that's starting to happen more is you're starting to get more small publishers, more small. I think of them as community publishers that know their scene. Some good examples that have been around for a bit are Devolver Digital, being all about quirky and interesting and disruptive games. Fellow Traveler being just narrative games. Donkey launching Big Mode to just do cool cult indie things. I like the Panic. They just do bizarre games, just like weird stuff, like really funny things. Or I think it's Critical Reflex. They do, I think most of their stuff is horror, like offbeat, off-kilter horror stuff. And what's really exciting about these studios are two things. One, they're smaller, so the risk is lower. And two, they are closer to their subject matter, so they understand it better. And these kind of things give me a really good feeling, because like this is like having a local promoter for bands. Like they learn actually where's the like, I like metal, and there's a lot of promoters that just do find out, right, where can I put metal bands where the audience is going to show up, which bands are going to go out there, and they're on the ground, they learn their subject matter, and I feel like we're starting to find some shape of that in games. That is one thing I'm really excited about. So that's just, remember, I think there's still good games coming, and there's still an industry to be part of. The studios just may not be as large. In the place of that, I expect to see networks. I expect to see networks of game developers. You mentioned the film industry earlier. I 100% agree. I think we are going to a place where the permanent game attached to an IP, the permanent studio and team attached to an IP will probably be small. And the resources that scale it will be temporary. And there are so many outsourcing teams now, quality ones. And especially in the post-pandemic world where we know how remote technology works and everybody's remote ready, we're also getting better at this. We are getting better at outsourcing, working with people in other time zones. Like the file transfer pipelines, everything about this that should get easier is getting easier. But let's come back to a skill that helps you be part of this, which is very close to your LinkedIn writing one. It is networking. Like, you need those people wings. You are going to need, like, people are going to really flourish in this network-based game industry if when they can take a project and like it finishes, and when they need to go looking for the next one, they're okay with it. They're not drained again. Like right now, a lot of people are really despairing because although you said there's no jobs for life, there actually have been. Like when there were a lot of layoffs in Creative Assembly in 2023, I think it was, when that first wave. And one of the people was employee number 3. Creative Assembly employee number 3. He'd been at that, and he'd been at that company nearly as long as I've been alive. And he's not unique. Like, there's a lot of people that found something cool in the 80s and 90s that kept making money, and they just stayed. So you do have people that have been at game studios for 20, 30 years. It's more than you'd think. Despite the fact the average people staying in a job in the game industry is, the average these days is 3 years, may even be coming down.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that they haven't job hunted. The the last time for some people, the last time they went looking for a job was the 90s.
Yeah, then
now they've got to.
Exactly. Like, sorry, I was interrupting you, but like I was going to say, like, I've spoken to a few of them, and it's this weird expectation meeting reality moment. It was like, like I can't get people to speak to you. And it's like, okay, how many people have you reached out to? Oh, like 10? That's why. It's like, it's not personal. It's just like the amount of opportunities there are. If you speak to all of them, someone will give you one job. Like, as now I'm on the business development side of things, like I'm currently doing business development activities for 10 games services company, 3 being Codev, and the other companies coaching for another 40. So I get to see a lot of people business development cycles. It's simply math. Like, if you speak to 20 people at a conference, 5 might want to continue the conversation, 1 might give you a call. Now, if we use this for the individual now, just to give you an idea, if you apply to 100 jobs, okay, if you get 10 interviews and get 1 job, that's pretty standard. But some people say, oh, I've applied to 20 jobs. Oh my God. I'm like, bro, it's like, there's not a lot. And also, there is so, like, you know this, but I'll explain it for some people who really don't get it. There is no reason to post a job if I already know someone who's a good candidate. Because if I post a job, the admin of sifting through CVs is not worth it. What does that mean? Let's say 80% hidden job market. We take that stat, which I put out my ass, but it's probably relevant. So many jobs are being filled by people who already know those people. Now, I'll tell you a secret. I used to be a Unity contract recruiter. So I'd find Unity developers. I sometimes poach them from companies who had never been a consultant before. Say, hey, do you want to be a consultant for this company for 6 months? And I did that like 4 or 5 times. Now, how did a studio from Stockholm trust this 22-year-old from the UK to find them the right person? Because I invited them to a podcast. I hanged out with them and I asked them, hey, what's your biggest challenge? I said, oh, actually, we need a Unity dev probably soon. Like, oh, do you know Jerry? Like, oh, I'll chat to Jerry. And then Jerry starts working at this company in 2 months. That job was never posted because Harry here proactively reached out to this studio, and I used any way I could to get on the call to ask them, hey, what's your challenges? Now, if you're not a recruiter, which most people aren't, how do you emulate that? You can go to a conference, you talk to 20 leaders and say, hey, what's your biggest problems? What you're hiring? And if you stay in their network and you follow up once a month, treat it like a job, because it's a job. It's your duty to find a job to feed yourself and your family. Like, it's no one's going to give it to you. And if we just assume the world is a scary place, the world will be a less scary place because you're prepared for it. Okay. So with that said, I'll end my little step-by-step process here. Is just, you need to have 20 people who could hire you in a close enough connection where they would reply to you. To get to that state, you might have to speak to 100 different companies, even if they're not hiring right now, because you know they've hired your skill set before. When you have this sort of mindset of finding a job or business development, it's much different because you're just speaking to people who could use your skill set and you find out if they have a problem. Whereas a lot of people get so despaired, it's like, oh my God, all the jobs, they're not replying to me. It's like, it's not their duty to. It's not their job to. Their job is to pick the best candidate in as little time as possible. Yes, it would be great if everyone got a very clear interview process, but as Doug said, not every company's made equal. So I think understanding that it's a numbers game should maybe intimidate some people, but for the right people should give you some solace in that all you have to do is talk to more people. There's nothing wrong with you, the market. There might be something that needs to be improved with your skill set compared to everyone else. That's a different question. I might mean 3 months of digging deep and improving your ability as an artist, for example, because now art simply needs less people for a lot of companies. Like, that's one example where you might need to improve your skill set compared to everyone else. But yeah, like, I will end my point with, no one's out to get you, and you need to speak to as many people as possible, understand their problems, and pivot if you have to, if your current CV doesn't pitch it. Like, your CV should not adapt to the world. Like, you as a person, sorry, the other way around. The world shouldn't adapt to your CV. So the CV should adapt to the world, and you should change with that. And yeah, I just have a very unique perspective because I do the business development for a lot of companies. Like, some people
Yeah.
say, "Oh, people not getting projects." Like, bro, I know someone who signed $1 million contract like a few weeks ago, and he's a 20, 30 person Codev team. How did they get that job? Because they spoke to the person at a conference. Like, money is sloshing
Yeah.
around. It's just, if you don't see it, you think it's nowhere.
Yeah, like and also you say about like talking to people before they're hiring. Talk to people before you're looking.
Oh yeah,
It's if you're fresh out of university, networking starts now. like every every game jam, every game dev drink up, like you could be talking to a future boss, colleague, or employee. There's a good chance you are, like, when because a lot of studios are, this is where they start, this is where these people met. Like there's no right place to meet. So yeah, like, hit every bell.
for sure.
Yeah, it is a scary idea, changing the skill set. Really scary.
How
And I
so?
know I know a lot of, because like not everything's as transferable as getting good at talking to people. Like
Yeah,
I would
that one's
feel
very transferable.
yeah, I would feel harsh not acknowledging that when you've spent a career building Unity skills, and like finding out that there's just not nearly as many Unity jobs are. Pivoting to C++ or Unreal or Godot, like that feels huge. It feels like, because it feels like it's not just, all right, a year or two, then I catch up. It'll feel like 15 years that you need to speed run to catch up to where you are, because you don't want to look back and think the value's dropped. But what you said, like, about your CV will have to adapt to the market, is true.
Yeah, and
Can't be ignored.
yeah, like, to your point on the Unity converting to Unreal, I've actually spoken to some of these people. The average number I got for someone who locked in, like 6 to 12 months, and obviously huge generalization. So sorry, but what I'm trying to say is 6 to 12 months of upskilling to what the market needs versus unemployment. Like, we pick number one, and also we can get, like, this is the thing where you can get a job to pay your bills in the meantime. I just know, because now I'm a business owner, like, the way we hire, like, of course I'm going to put a job out, but so many people do not apply to a job with like a full application process, like answering the questions or what have you. So when you see these big application numbers, the percentage of them that actually qualified are very low, and getting something to pay the bills in the meantime, I don't know. I
Yeah.
get quite cross with the mindset of like, no one's hiring me for anything. It's like, you can find something for $1,000 to $2,000 a month to pay rent and like very cheap food if you had to. I'm so sorry if your bills are a lot more than that, but like, even in Cyprus, I know that's possible, even in our tiny economy. So like, if you live in an economy which is slightly bigger than Cyprus, which is probably most people listening to this, like, there is something that can be done in the meantime. It's not a nice thing to say, and maybe I am overgeneralizing because I haven't like been there really. But yeah,
But
it's
yeah, I feel like I've got a lot of sympathy of all these people. I've got a lot of sympathy right now for developers in North America, just
yeah,
because the cost of living and the cost of employment there has changed so much that they are getting a disproportionate amount of the hit right now.
yeah,
It's I mean it doesn't change the kind of needs for next, and being ready to like think, all right, I'm gonna make myself get found. Like I gotta make myself ready to talk to people, and I've got to get comfortable hunting without it draining me, finding my way of doing that. But I think, like, there are some people I know who've had to bounce off. They've had to bounce off non-game jobs,
yeah.
just because it's been so dramatic for so many people at the same time. I think that's why this can feel really daunting to a lot of people. Like, just, it feels like the sky is falling when you see these numbers. Um, but there are a lot of people hiring, and there's a lot of places recovering from the shock the first time that these layoffs happened that are building new things. There's also, I think, a lot of people who actually like they want to be close to they want to be close to the IP. It's exciting, it's rock and roll. I think a lot of the new jobs where you can like kind of settle into the factory are going to be Codev and outsource based. But there are so many of those growing up now. And actually a lot of those, I think there's a lot more in like durable businesses that are going to be set up in that space than
I speak
in the
to
ones
them.
that own IPs.
Like,
yeah,
most of them treat it like a business first, and then when they get a bit of money, they can work on their own IP, which is like typically the founder's passion.
Yeah.
But most of the time they have to, because they just simply haven't raised money, right? They have cost and they want to get contracts, so they tend to be quite balanced. Right? And top tip: almost all of them probably won't have to put a job post out. They'll probably know someone who knows someone. So don't expect them to post jobs, guys. Some of them will post, but like you can just proactively reach out, say, "Hey, I have this skill set. I'd love to chat because of XYZ." Would get you a long way.
Oh, one more I want to make sure people hear about now. Something that's changing and could feed this exact new thing, which is do you know MobyGames?
I've heard of it. I think they have that Crossy Road, right?
No,
sorry, MobyGames. It's one with the credits.
Yeah.
Let me bring
That's
it up.
the one. Yeah. They're up to something. They have put out a beta for Moby Professional because I think they have seen that the industry is entering a place where developers need a leg up finding jobs and they want something that can show them better and it can help them be found better.
LinkedIn for games? Is this happening?
LinkedIn for games is pretty much, I think it's what they're going for. And I was so pleased to see them doing it because they're the ones that have the stuff that matters about you already. They probably have you on your credits in all the games you've worked on. That's one of the best portfolios you have. I think they're also looking at having profile pages where you can upload portfolio materials. They've only just got started on this, but I'm excited. I think it looks like they're doing all the right things. And so
I have my intel on this actually.
Oh yeah? What you got?
So I have a recruiter friend who plugs into the API and he only does his sourcing from MobyGames pretty much now.
Oh, here it comes. Okay, yeah. In that case, the advice for developers is claim your profile on MobyGames. Make sure, because like I was credited as Doug Pennant in a few things. I had to unify them, but I've done that now. So my profile is everything I've done. And whenever any new features get added for like, okay, showing a portfolio, adding some extra materials, I will be taking advantage. I recommend it for you. Oh, that's the picture that's there. That's right. Yeah. That picture was taken during that was a promo session, like video recording we did for it was like a recruitment video, Creative Assembly. And so they got me in and said, "Hey Doug, do some beast recording and we'll film you in slow motion." I'm like, what? Yeah.
Can I understand a bit more? So was this self-done, or which part was found without your help and which part did you do, just so people can understand?
So pretty much all the areas where you see me credited on a game, that was already there.
They went and saw the credits and then just updated their database without your permission, right? Like you're just taking public information.
Well, yeah, it is public information. I think it's like IMDb. I think it's community updated. And or there are some APIs that feed things. Probably a bit of both. But there were a couple of tweaks where I made where I updated my name so that it was the same across.
Yeah,
across my thing. So yeah, there you go.
So Doug Pennant,
aka Doug Pennant.
So how can someone like reach out to you? They don't do it on here. They just know your name and then go find you, right?
Yeah, right now. So like obviously I'm on LinkedIn, fairly noisy there. I'm on Blue Sky. I know the games industry is still a bit sore from losing Twitter. Because it is a loss. Like there are some people that still post there. I'm not. I'm out of it. And so I'm on Blue Sky, but it's not the whole industry yet. I think a lot of indies went there. A lot of more business games business side of things, LinkedIn is taking up more of that traffic. I kind of hope that there is some communication infrastructure that comes in to MobyGames, but but maybe they won't do that. Maybe something more appropriate will. But I guess
Very
part of
cool.
this is do your own, make sure you can be found and contacted, and then take advantage. This is something that's growing, and it's growing in the perfect place. So find it. You log in. You have to claim your profile, which takes like a bit of approval. They want to make sure you are you before letting you dictate how your profile is, and that didn't take long, maybe a day or two. But this is an investment for people who want a dynamic career in what's to come.
Guys, this is great. Like, for people who don't understand, you can use this for job hunting too. Like, this is really cool. Because I doubt this API is too expensive. Yeah, $10. So you could search through all of their content with like a Claude free trial and be like, hey, which games could use my skill set? Like, you could probably do some very cool things with this. This is me being nerdy now, but like, there's some stuff you can do for sure.
Yeah, I haven't played with that, but I think I should.
Yeah, I wonder what would happen. Non-commercial use, yeah. So you can do it for job hunting. So if I was to do this one, I could probably use it as a company. But yeah, I might have to play around with that. That's very cool. Top tip, cool. That's cool.
Yeah, man, if you find some good stuff like that, like share it up share up as much as you want without giving away any business secret sauce.
Yeah. I just know someone. He's a recruiter friend of mine, and he stopped using LinkedIn. He just uses MobyGames, which is crazy. And he just
that is big.
Yeah. So all he does is he finds, using the API, games that could have the right people, and then just systematically finds those people, and then finds their LinkedIn and reaches out. So it's all credit based.
That's fantastic. Okay, yeah, then definitely everybody get on this, because this is where people are starting to look.
Yeah, because like that person would, and he's saying he's getting so much better success because when he does reach out, he's reaching out to people and saying, by the way, I saw your MobyGames you created on these games. We're making, so like people reply more, and which is cool. So yeah,
that's fantastic.
Yeah, that's cool. So for everyone who stayed to the later part of the podcast, you got that little chef's kiss tidbit. Awesome. Great. So I'm going to ask you one question on production, because it would be right. So what is, actually, let's role play. If you had to ship the next Modern Warfare game in 90 days with the team that you have right now, what's the first thing you would do after this question? Like, what's the first thing you would have to do?
God, like you're saying it like it's kind of not exactly true. It might be 90. The first thing I do is play the game. Like, it's, you got to know, like, where are we? Truthfully, because like I'm a very measuring and numbers producer, but they're never quite the same as like, where exactly is the game? Right, and you play it through, like you play single player from start to finish. You play test the hell out of your MP levels, like with people, and you find out the truth of, okay, where are we, and what do those 90 days need to do? This isn't just about fixing bugs and all of that. This is making sure you're about to ship the game you thought you were shipping. And if there's anything that surprises you, then like the sooner you catch it, the better. Like it's there's a lot of people to pivot, but if anything needs to change, but this is like, it's a culture where people jump on stuff. Like it is a very fast moving dynamic, almost like whiplash for me, coming from like some much more kind of long-term roadmap things. There's a lot more now in the way Call of Duty's made.
So what do people typically get wrong in the final 90 days from a production point of view when it comes to game development?
One of the hard things to do is stop. Like is stop development. If it's not finished, it didn't make it. Stop polish. If it's if it wasn't good luck, if it's not good now, it's not made it. And recognize that you are finaling, because there it used to be 90 days would you'd have already sent this off, and it's gone to get printed onto a circuit board and stuck in a cartridge. There's no take backsies once it goes off to that factory. Whereas now we have the advantage of fixing stuff up at the end, but you only get one day one. You only get one opening night, as I saw in a talk once. To start finaling, you got to stop developing, and that's hard.
Yeah, I'm guessing it never happens. I'm guessing because the temptation should be always there. I'm guessing. Just one more thing.
Mean, it's people always want to it's actually, there are some things you can do to make it easier, because there are some people who just can't find the game. They're idea people. They are R&D people. They're brainstormers, developers, and there are places you really want these people, but it's not finaling.
Yeah.
What you really want to do, if you're the studio that has any kind of resources like this, is the people who are good at finaling, good at saying, "Oh, that's it. I can close this down. I recognize this." I've worked with really good closers on the scale of QA, production, design, coders, art. In every discipline you can name, but I've worked with people. They get it, and they pride themselves on a professional level. They've been able to say, and now we're closing the product. There's a lot of people who when you want them on their next project, so send them. Say, all right, start head over to the sequel and start dreaming. We'll be there when this is out the door, and we can start working on your next genius idea. I think that's the best advice I've got at this part.
Yeah, sounds hard. I can't. I love starting stuff. I'm a bit addicted, to be honest. It's just too fun. I love it. It's just one more thing to do. I can't say no.
It's really fun. But I take some pride in being able to close something. But that one of the things that makes it hard is you are still there, Harry, and you want to do one more thing, and I've got to somehow convince you to let me say not this time, and I've got to somehow convince you to save it for the sequel, or save it for an update.
Yeah,
or
I do that a lot with my events, so I'm much more happy-go-lucky. I'm sure we'll be fine. And it's actually quite nice that I have my dad and my older brother who actually work in the company. Dad's helping with accounting. My brother's heading up events. And they give me I think we should chill with maybe the 12 events we've already planned this year. And I'm like, no, we can do a marketing conference in Cyprus. I got a venue because I went there and it's going to be great. And we do a conference next year. I'm like, I'm sure we'll be fine. It's just more events. And they're like, calm down. But I like to negotiate still.
They're the brakes to your accelerator. But this is a good business. They're the Roy Disney to your Walt Disney. And it's have you ever heard of Roy Disney?
I haven't, but maybe I should look him up.
I get that actually takes that. I heard about him as well in that Jesse Shell talk all again.
Okay, cool.
He was that guy. He's Walt's brother, and he was the Walt was the dreamer. Walt wanted to go as fast as possible. Roy knew how to write an account sheet, and he knew how to stabilize things in the wake of Walt. And the shortest way to think of it is the fastest cars have great gas pedals, great engines, but they've also got the best brakes. And it needs them all.
Yeah, I don't know. I hired a lot of people recently. I don't know. I hired a lot of people recently, and obviously I have a much bigger, I'll be honest, a burn rate, right? I never used to have that last year. last year, if business went down 1 month, I'm like, oh, I can't buy this expensive course. But now it's like, oh yeah, I cannot not win because I have payroll. And maybe this is very hopeful thinking, but I had a stressful week a couple weeks ago thinking, oh, we need to lock in. And then in the last 2 weeks, I locked in. We like increased our prices, signed a bunch of new clients. I'm like, the pressure made diamonds. See, it was always in a good way that we had this pressure. But obviously, I'm not dealing with just my life, dealing with other people's life. So 100%, I recognize I need to have the balance of both. But I've always been rewarded for it. So that's the annoying part. Like going faster.
It's I'm not going to judge this everywhere. It's like this in a way, like if this is the way it made sense everywhere, it wouldn't be hard in games, or in any kind of development, like, because it's why it's difficult, because it's not natural, and not it's, and saying no isn't easy. Yeah, so that's why when you say what's the hard bit, it's that bit.
Yep, and I agree. All right, so Doug, for the person who's listened to all of this podcast, they're clearly interested in what we've talked about. What did we not spend enough time on that you would like to leave people with?
I think part of it is some of it's the self-care, just at home, of like, it's amazing how many times, like, I'm going through some challenge or something else, and I think whatever else is going on, I am almost certainly dehydrated. Like, that's like
oh my god,
just
literally what I thought. I drank no water today.
Like, it really gets, especially in the heat at the moment. I feel like I would love to just keep talking forever, like, optimistically, about the amount I can see coming into the industry that I'm so excited about. And if you separate the industry and the art of video games, the industry is going through like a challenging time. The art just gets better and better. Like, every year there's something else that just changes, that blows our mind about video games. Me and my girlfriend spent over 100 hours in blueprints. Like, it's unbelievable. Or watching people's stuff from Mecha Chameleon.
I was about to bring it up. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's just, there's so much good stuff, like, on the way out. And that, like, I still just think there's so much we haven't seen, like, so many kinds of stories. Another one place there is money still in video games, which is a really interesting one: art funding. And, art funding. Because think about this.
What's that?
These are so look to the cultural institutions in your countries. They want to see your culture show up. So this is how a lot of films get funding, through grants from, like, I know, like, there's a BBC in the UK. The Canadian Films Institute will put money towards projects and things, and this is starting to happen for various games as well. It's like, if you have a game that can show cultural value and where you're from, and it's the stuff I really want to see personally. Like, I have not seen enough of the world show up in the games.
I agree.
Yeah, like, this is somewhere that I think we barely scratched the surface, and it makes me excited to see it when it gets found.
Beautiful. All right, Doug, how can people find out more? You have an awesome book and Substack. Where can people find that, and you?
Yeah, so well, the book, you can find there's a copy here. The only one I actually have in the house. There's the Pocket Mentor for Game Production, which you can find on Amazon or on the Routledge website. I'm also on LinkedIn / Doug Pennant. And I also write a semi-regular Substack called Better Game Production. And I think you'll actually find that. I think it's like dougpennant.substack.com. I've forgotten the address.
Great. Yeah, I'll put those links in the description. Fantastic. All right, cool. Doug, thank you so much for making the time. It's great to see you in Barcelona. And yeah, till next time, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.